One of the biggest demons that we are struggling with is the demon of religion. Because when colonialists divided the continent, religion was next on the line. Then others are Muslims, others are Christians. And now you understand, when you get to Nigeria, for example, the war that is being fought in Nigeria, it's a simple war between Christians and Muslims. We're now dealing with ISIS in Mozambique. We are dealing with the religious war, the politics of religion. I want to say it like that, the politics of religion. Because immediately people accept one religion, they think that they are better than the other religion. And this very religion, whether it is Christianity or it is Islam, has become our weakest link, because Islamic governments find it difficult to do business with Christian governments and vis-a-vis. And all of them are in a crusade trying to make everyone Christian or trying to make everyone Muslim. And in such a way, it has created and divided families, it has divided countries, and religion divides us, spirituality unites us. But we need to start talking about our ideology of unifying our governance. We need to start talking about unifying our businesses. We need to start talking about unifying our education and rewriting our curriculums. We cannot be in this day and age be asking how many legs does a grasshopper have, and that comes in your examination. We need to unify our entertainment and sports. We also need to unify and find a common zone where we can celebrate our diversities of cultures. So it's not only and ultimately we need to unify what we might want to call our African spirituality without undermining our diversity of African cultures, but we need to have that in the armpit of our governance systems. Right now our governments get into power and raise your hand here. Do you believe, oh help me God, oh inshallah, I so help me Allah. How can you on the African continent be asking my moral compass to be controlled by the religion which is foreign to the land? As such, we need to start having an honest conversation. Are these religious systems working to benefit the Africans, or these have also become prisons of the mind, which control the African? And immediately you hear someone is from an opposite religion than yourself. Even if they are African, you already want to alienate yourself from them. Religion constantly divides us. As such, religion is not the only thing we must remove, particularly colonial religion, colonial Christianity, colonial Islam must not have space on African function. The African must be free to practice what they want to practice because they are African. How come the Muslims in the Middle East, they do as they please? The Chinese in China, they do as they please. The Americans and the Europeans, they do as they please. But when they come to the African continent, they want to tell us how to behave, as if we've ever walked up to Luxon and walked up to Brussels and walked up to California and tell them how to behave. This is the arrogance that gets me quite worked out, because our governments will constantly be bowing and kneeling in front of the colonizers who don't care about the Africans at all, but they care about their own business interests that are invested in the country. We need to start having an honest political, academic, entertainment, religious, business conversation that addresses Africans as owners of their own destinies, as owners of their own resources, and they should need to champion their own future, of which they are part of. We cannot undermine the fact that 60% of the population in Africa is actually women population. In some certain parts, it even fluctuates to about 70% of the population is women. Therefore, you cannot undermine the fact that women are the farmers. Women are the ones who are working in the fields, either as owners of the farms or as workers of the farms, as wives on the farms. The participation of women cannot be undermined. As such, we also need to visit our legislative framework. In some certain countries and cultures where land is only given to men and women are not allowed to own land unless they are married and etc. How do we begin to develop an Africa where the greater population is actually disenfranchised and they are not given access to the very land on which they are working on? These marriage laws and cultural laws, some of them, which actually remove women from participating on the judiciary system and framework of policies that give them access to lands and means of production, need to be visited. Because we are locking an economy which can be unleashed So I think that the Africa that we are looking at, the participation of women is not only an economic participation, but I'm also talking about a legislative participation where some of the blockages and hindrances of success, where women are being disenfranchised, those blockages must be removed, and women must be given access to utilizing and working on land. Working on land. Shame that we can begin to pontificate and glorify colonial borders as if colonial borders define us as Africans. Right here when I'm sitting in Zambia, if you go next to the Zambezi River there are Tongas that are sitting right there. If you go across the Zambezi on the Zimbabwean side, there are Tongas that are sitting there. If you go to the eastern borders, there are Shanganis that are staying there. If you go to the Mozambican side, there are Shanganis that are there. You go to the Zimbabwean side, there are Shanganis that are there. You go to Malawi, there are Shanganis that are there. The Sutu tribes, the Lozi tribes, the Kikuyu tribes, the all regional wars that we are fighting as Africans are actually a result, some of them, of the borders that were created by colonialism. Therefore, we cannot begin to define ourselves as Zambians, as Zimbabweans, as South Africans, and as Kenyans. We need to start defining ourselves as great Africans, from Zambezi to Limpopo, from Cape to Cairo, from Madagascar to Angola. And this is the Africa that we want to build, that will have one currency, that will have one political system, that will have one banking system, our own banking system. How can America be having 52 states being run by one white man, and Africa has 54 states and has 54 presidents, and all of them are struggling to run the country together? Why will not Africa unite together and create an economic hub? We can remain with our presidents as governors in various areas of the African space, but it's high time we now need to start talking about removing and destroying colonial borders, because based on these colonial borders, that's where you have the Anglo-Saxons, that's where you have the Francophones, that's where you have the Laxons. Germany, France, Britain, and Portugal divided Africa on a table like they're cutting a cake to themselves. And here we are, in the words of Julius Nyerere, in the words of Kwame Nkrumah, in the words of Patrice Lumumba, and other stalwarts who have been Pan-Africanists, who have gone way ahead of us. They have always been talking about uniting Africa. Our weakest link are our presidents. Our weakest link are our political parties. Our weakest link are our small little regional politics, which divides Africa along the same lines of the colonial borders. Until we destroy these colonial borders, which divide Zambians and Congolese and Namibians and Tswana people and Malawians, etc., etc., we will keep on thinking that as countries we can fight continents. And there's no way Zambia, with its population, can fight the continent of China with its billions of people. You will always tend to be abused. For that reason, we need Africa to stand as a unit. Our 2.5, 2.8 billion people standing together, we can begin to compete with our human resource, we can compete with our mineral resource, we can compete with our water resource, we can compete with our food resource, we can compete with all other aspects of the economy. Because if you put Africa together as a unified continent, which makes it one country, we can pound for pound have an African currency which can challenge the euro currency, which can challenge the American currency, which can challenge the Chinese currency. And our weakness has always been our division. And until we begin to speak unity, we'll constantly be fragmented by colonial masters who are abusing us as small little separate countries, and our economies can never challenge the continents. We already have models. I don't know why Africans become too intelligent for unity. You already have models. The model of China, the model of Europe, the model of America. How did the 52 states in America join to make the United States of America? How did the countries in Europe combine themselves together to come up with the euro dollar? How did the Chinese government consolidate its states to come up with one state? But always, as always, Africans will always be trying to look into how do we? Unity is not difficult. Unity simply means Africa comes together. When they meet at the Africa Union, appoint for us one leader, point for us, one economy, a point for us, one system that drives through the entire African continent. This is what the Pan-African movements were all about. And this is the reason why Africa Union was formed in the first place. And it's an agenda that political leaders in Africa don't want to discuss, and they don't want to talk about it openly. But yet the solutions of the African problem are found in a united Africa, not in a small little regional, national, small little neo-colonial political border kind of politics.